Brayden Maynard to North Melbourne. That is something I never, ever thought I would hear. Welcome back to Further North, guys. Just a quick news video here. Brayden Maynard might be signing for North Melbourne in 2026. Imagine telling us that, ever, to be honest. We're just coming off an amazing win against the D's where North fans are up and about. But this news actually broke a few days before that game. Chief football writer at the Herald Sun, Jay Clark, I believe, broke this story first, saying North Melbourne is going to offer Brayden Maynard a 5-year, $5 to $6 million deal, which is crazy on the surface, but when you dive into it, let's break it down a little bit. What are my thoughts on this off the top? Now, I posted about this and said, I actually don't mind it, and we don't like this guy. Nobody likes this guy except Collingwood fans, but if he's on your team, you absolutely love him. And I think he's a bit of a tone setter. And do I like the bloke? No. But if he's wearing blue and white, I think we'll all get around him. The fans have said so much that we need to move on from players like Luke McDonald or Darcy Tucker. Well, he's definitely an upgrade on those guys. But the money and maybe the time is the thing that I hesitate about. But let's just talk about it from a player perspective before we get into the contract. So a lot of fans are saying we have to upgrade from Tucker and from McDonald if we do want to improve. And I don't disagree with that, although Luke McDonald played incredibly well on the weekend. Maynard is 3 years younger than McDonald. I believe McDonald's 31, maybe he's 30, but he's around that age. I like it because we can see the impact, and it's only one game against the D's. We can see the impact that darling Daniel Parker have had. He is in his prime, like Daniel is as well. 28 years old is your prime. I believe you can play to about 32, 33, and still play top footy, right? Especially these days with sports science and all that sort of stuff. But I think he's the sort of guy that is going to put his body on the line, and imagine him in that Luke McDonald role instead. And then our back six starts to look pretty solid. I completely understand why people don't like the thought of it. I think a lot of it is because we don't like him, and that's like a first reaction from people. But when you think about it, what I'm trying to, put out here, I think it's a little bit better of an idea than off the top. I can see him fitting in that McDonald role. He meters gained, he's well above average in the AFL, which is something that Caleb Daniel is there for. But outside that, Foster's looking really good, and I like when McKercher is down there. But he brings toughness and physicality, and if we had to send him on to, somebody to lock them down, he can play a little bit smaller, a little bit taller. I think I like it from a player perspective. Now let's talk about it from a contract perspective. So age-wise, he's 28. For me, absolutely no longer than a 4-year deal. If we give him a similar deal than that Caleb Daniel got, I think that is the way to go, years-wise. Money-wise, it's a lot of money, but is $1 million in like 2 years' time going to be like $1 million in the last couple of years? I just don't think so. I don't know when the new TV deal thing comes in. Has that already come in or not? Salary caps are going to keep going up and up and up. Could you front load the deal? Because I don't want Maynard making $1 million when he's 34 and we're about to really start hitting our stride. We're in the finals and we need to sign some players. So if they do something like this, a 4-year deal, front loading the deal, I think would definitely be the way to go. But it's the money thing. It's a lot for him. But I also understand that North Melbourne needs to offer more money to pry players away from big clubs. He's the vice captain of that club, I believe. He's a tone setter. He's a leader. He will stand up in big moments and he'll put his body on the line, which, as we can see from guys like Joe Simpkin, from Luke McDonald's acts on the weekend, from Charlie Comben on the weekend, what Jack Darling is doing. Look at Paul Curtis, Tom Powell, all these guys, LDU in the contest all game, Luke Parker. That's why we played well. Players feed off physicality. And if we can get a little bit more of that down back, bringing Archer back in, obviously, after his suspension, which he'll be back when Maynard's there, I would hope. Who knows? The AFL might suspend him for a year for looking at someone inappropriately. Anyway, I just can see it rounding out the back six to push us into the finals. And I know we need another key. I think we need another key defender as well. But I don't think that defence held up so well. And I don't think that our defence is that poor that if we had a really good year over the rest of the park, they couldn't be a top 8 defense if everything was clicking. I've always said with North's defense, I think our individual players are good. It's the system that lets us down. And on the weekend, the system did not let us down. And if that continues, which is yet to be seen, I'm not getting ahead of myself after one game of football, but we're starting to look a lot better. So I can see where he would fit. I think if there's one weakness in the back line, it is that sort of player. Because we do have key backs, even though they aren't the most reliable key backs. Logue coming back is yet to be seen. We love Charlie Comben, Aiden Core. I think you can rely on him, but he is 31. But we can sort that out down the road a little bit. But I think the hole in the defence today is that Brayden Maynard type role. A mix, what we think Riley Hardiman might be one day. A mix of a tough lockdown player, but then can run off and distribute and push the ball forward as well. Luke McDonald definitely showed he can lock down and do the physical stuff, but then when it comes to disposal, he's not the best. And pushing us forward, you can't really rely on him. And McKercher and O'Sullivan seem to be the opposite. They can get the ball, push us forward, dispose well, but the physical stuff and the lockdown stuff isn't their bag. So if we could find a player that's in between those two, it's like mixing Colton McKercher and Jackson Archer together. Not saying he's on that level, Maynard, but I can see he's like a prototype of that. And if we could get a few years, get 3 or 4 years out of him as a tone setter back there, I like it. I like it. And I don't know if people want to hear that. I'm sure so many people in the comments are going to be so upset. Put your thoughts in the comments on this too. And please think about it before just reacting about it. Because when I first saw it, I was like, no. And then I thought about it and chatted to some mates who are North fans about it. And we were like, I can kind of see why he's the sort of player. Laying it out super raw again. Leadership, tick. You might not like the way he leads, but he's a tone setter. He can do the defensive stuff. He can do the offensive stuff. And he is in his prime. The only question I have is the length of contract and the money. So if we gave him a 4-year deal, if you need to give him $1 million a year to get him out of Collingwood, but front load that deal so he's maybe making 700 or something like that when it comes to the end, I think it's okay. I'm not completely sold. I'm not saying we have to get it done. You never know. The emergence of a Hardiman, Finn O'Sullivan's looking great down there. But I think it's levels, isn't it? He's played in grand finals. He's played in big finals. He's played for a big club. He knows. And as much as we don't like him on the field and he's a grub, I think he's a complete grub. I'd hate to have a beer with him. But if he's on your team, you kind of want him to be there. You know what I mean? It's almost like Lindsay Thomas for us. Everyone disliked Lindsay Thomas outside of North Melbourne. We loved him. He was a gun. I love Lindsay Thomas. But I fully see why everybody else didn't like him. Boomer Harvey was the same. Boomer Harvey was not a widely loved player. Absolutely not. He was a little prick. He was annoying. He was punching people, pinching people, elbowing people. And he's a legend. I love Brett Harvey so much. But no one else liked him. And that's what you want. It's like North as a team. When we won on the weekend, people go, oh, man, I was cheering for North. I don't want you to cheer for North. I want you to say, God, North won again. You know how you feel when Hawthorn wins every game? You're like, screw those guys. That's what I want people to think about our club. And that's kind of what I want people to think about our players, because that means we're good. And that means we're a threat. And we aren't that yet. And does he make us more of a threat, Maynard? I think so. Imagine lining up on him, alongside Jackson Arch down there. Those two running around, Daniel distributing, Chom just clunking things over the top of packs. And if Will Dawson or Whitlock in a few years' time can come in and learn to be like that Sam Taylor, that Harris Andrews type defender, that'd be unbelievable. Can Griffin Logue offer something over the next few years at the club? I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too big picture here, but when you're handing out 4 or 5 year deals, you kind of have to. So please let me know your thoughts in the comments. Please try and have some constructive dialogue down there, because there is reason to this. Look at when Clarkson's come in, look at the players we've drafted, look at the players we've recruited, especially in the last year. They're good. They're good. They haven't all hit. I understand that. But it hasn't been recruitment and just garbage players. Dylan Stephens, you can question Dylan Stephens. He's okay. he's okay. Darcy Tucker, he kind of plays every week, and I thought he was all right on the weekend. And these are players that I've even said aren't in the 22. But I'm not as scared if they play anymore. Do you know what I mean? I'm not terrified if they're on the field. So, and you can't even question darling Daniel Parker. We know what they're bringing, and I think he obviously fits more that category. More toughness and leadership down in the back line. So we've had one of our favourites on the podcast here, Chief, from the Outer Podcast. If you want to see his work, he's suggested a couple of names that we might be able to get instead. These are free agents for next year that he is saying maybe we can go after, because he wasn't a fan of the Maynard thing. So he said himself, if you want to go and have a crack at him from the Outer Podcast, get on that and send him a message and say, you know nothing about footy, or you know everything about footy. Give him your opinions. There's a couple I don't personally agree with as well, but we'll go through them quickly before we finish. Brandon Starcevic, I mean, that is ideal, but geez, getting him out of Brisbane is going to be near impossible. If that Maynard contract can get him out of Brisbane, I would probably much rather go for Starcevic. 25 years old, done it at the highest level. I don't know, we don't really have any ball guys on the team as well. I think that would be fun. So, yeah, look, he would be unbelievable, but, I mean, that's a bit of a wishful thinking sort of thing. But, hey, that'd be unbelievable. He suggested Brody Kemp from the Blues. 192 centimetres, 23 years old, age profile fits. I think he's had a few injuries. Not as stoked on this one. I would obviously much rather Maynard, but potential-wise and age-wise, maybe fits more. Doesn't necessarily play that same role for me, but hey, these are the ones that I've been suggested. Wouldn't do it over Maynard, though. I'd do the Starcevic one over Maynard. Brody Kemp, no. Leak Aaliyah is another one that Chief has suggested. I like it. What did he play? 12 games, young, 23 years old, 194 centimetre though. So sort of that Griffin Logue type, maybe. But maybe he's got a little bit more speed about him, a little bit more agility. I wouldn't hate it. It'd be much cheaper, and going after a player like this, I think, is good for North. But we need to go after players we know are going to be quality. We've got depth in key positions, and Bergmans and Hardemans and Goders and things like that. But if we think, and if Clarko thinks that this guy can be part of our next finals team, I think you can go for it. I don't know if he's shown enough yet, but I like the talent there. So we will see. Where was he drafted? Number 15, 2021 national draft. So we'll see how that one goes. I don't hate it, but I'd rather the finished article. Jaden Laverde. That is a controversial one. I don't know. A dependable guy, 28 years old, 193, probably a little bit too much of a key position player. I don't think we need more keys, especially him, who's sort of hit his ceiling. I don't think he's quite good enough. So I personally wouldn't want this one to go through. More of a key position at 193 centimetres, I think, but Maynard's only 189, I think. So it's 4 centimetres. It's not that much, but different type of game. Laverde hasn't found his way into the squad, I believe, this year. So, yeah, we'll see. I don't love that one. I do like this one if he was younger, though. Robbie Fox. Listed as a medium forward, but played plenty as a defender. Bit of a swingman, to be honest. I really like it, but he's 31. If he was 28, him, Maynard or Starcevic would be perfect. I would take any of them personally. I like Robbie Fox. But, yeah, probably at 31, you'd probably rather be giving a little bit more to Maynard so he can be here. We don't have to recruit in a couple of years' time or even a year's time. You wouldn't be offering him more than 2 years, to be honest. So, look, don't know how I feel about that one, Chief. I apologise, but I like the name and I like the player, just a little bit too old. So, look, you guys let us know what you think of those. These have just been given to me on a list. Like I said, don't come at me. Come at Chief from the Outer Podcast. They do good stuff. Get on them. But look, I think Maynard or Starcevic obviously would be my preferred. Leak, I don't mind. Robbie Fox, just a bit too old. Look, I'll leave it there. I think that's about all there is to chat about the Brayden Maynard thing. Thank you for tuning in once again. Keep locked to Further North. Please subscribe if you're on YouTube. It helps us so much. Like the video, leave a comment. TikTok is popping off at the moment for us. I do a couple of videos a week, or I try to. Instagram is the main place to follow Further North, so please get onto that. That's where all the good content happens. That's where I get your fan questions and voicemails and things, so get around it. Facebook is always a constant for me as well. I jumped off Twitter, because I hate it. So I apologise. Thank you for watching Further North, guys. We will be back with the preview for the Adelaide game. That's going to be tough, but we'll see how we go. See you guys.